We are in Petros, Tennessee to check out Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary.
This is a neat old penitentiary up in the mountains of Tennessee. Actually, the killer of Martin Luther King Jr., a man by the name of James Earl Ray, stayed here and even escaped from here. He was out in these mountains for about 3 days. It's a beautiful place. We can't wait to check it out, and we cordially invite you to come along.
Come along.
Dangerous since 1896. Enter. Warning, enter at your own risk. Now, James Earl Ray, of course, spent a lot of time here. He escaped from these walls, like we told you earlier. We're going to show you the exact spot he escaped from here in just a moment. First, let's give a little backstory here. Of course, he got found guilty of killing Martin Luther King Jr., but there's some doubt in that. There's some people who aren't too sure if that's really what happened, if he really acted alone in killing MLK. As a matter of fact, the FBI didn't really like Martin Luther King too much. When King would go traveling and he would go to a motel or hotel, the FBI would rent out the rooms around him. They'd bug his room and they'd listen in to what was going on. They found out through the process of doing this that King was having some affairs. Now, they made recordings of this and they sent it off to the press. That didn't work too well because back then the press protected people. You think about John F. Kennedy, you think about some other things. The press protected people in power and well-known people. So that didn't work. Now the FBI sent the tape off to King's wife. That didn't work either. But it made people think afterwards, looking back on this and what the FBI was doing, is did they have something to do with it? Because this guy was just a small-time criminal.
And what's pretty crazy about it is that he had only been in trouble for armed robbery and also burglary prior to. But however, after he committed the murder, he had money to go escape to London. He left the U.S.
He had also gone to Canada. He had multiple different fake passports. It makes you wonder, where did he get all this money? How did he come up with this scheme to escape? He was out for a couple months before he finally got busted out in London. Before that, he had always got busted. He kind of got caught immediately. He committed crimes. He was kind of a dumb criminal, what you'd call a dumb criminal. But somehow he became a very intelligent criminal after this, except for the fact that he did leave a weapon with his fingerprints on it at the Lorraine Motel there in Memphis where the murder took place. Now, why did he do that? I don't know. Did he act alone? I don't know. The King family doesn't feel like he did. We'll leave it up to you guys to do your own research on that. Let's show you this spot he escaped from here. One of the guards had a newspaper. Apparently, maybe one of the other ones was actually asleep, which gave them clearance for these two towers so that they could make their escape right over here.
James Earl Ray and 6 other inmates broke out of the state pen on June 10th, 1977. Then, on June 13th, they were apprehended.
They broke out right in this spot, right here. It's where the wall meets the mountain range. Now, right here, the reason why they chose this spot was because there's an electric line that ran above it. It was 18 inches above the wall, and you can see the remains of the barbed wire there. They had an 18-inch clearance right there, and all these guys slipped right through there. Now, what they used were some pipes. They'd gotten some pipes from inside of the prison. One of the guys that escaped was actually a plumber. He was able to show them how to put all these pipes together. So they brought out pieces of it. They stuck it in the ground, hid it out here, left it out here. Some of them carried it in their prison gear. They walked over to this wall. They attached their pipe. They climbed over the wall, and off they went into the mountains.
Let's take a walk inside and see what's in there.
Now this, I read somewhere, I believe, oh, there it is. There's the big sign, gymnasium. Established 1896, although this says 1941 right up there. Let's go see the gym, the play area. Appears to be windows that have been covered over by bricks here. Sports and takedowns, often used for boxing matches where inmates squared off inside a ring. I think that my shadow is all up in the picture here. Let me get off to the side. To cheers and jeers of peers betting on the bout, the gymnasium also housed dozens of inmates when cell blocks of the typically overcrowded compound were filled to capacity. It did, for most of its existence, segregate black and white inmates, each designated to specific areas for exercise, such as weightlifting and basketball games. However, one of the gym's most infamous incidents had nothing to do with recreation. It was rumored that some inmates were hatching a plot to overtake the gym. At the time, plywood covered the once secure but recently broken door in the rear of the room. That one right back there, I guess. Suddenly, the makeshift enclosure flew open, sending the plywood board sliding across the floor. Armed men swarmed in, yelling, "Everybody against the wall!" My voice echoes. Do you hear it?
I hear it.
Do it.
Echo! Echo!
Prisoners quickly lined up. A few confused guards stationed inside the gym joined the line too, until realizing the men with guns were fellow guards, rushing in to apprehend the convicts suspected in the takeover scheme. Well, that's pretty neat. And there you go. A look at some old pictures of the gymnasium. There are no basketball hoops in here, but you can see the lines are still drawn out. The three-point line is in place. And Heather is close to where the basketball goal would have been. Huh?
Is that a headboard, perhaps?
I don't know what that is.
Stand up?
Could be. Stand it up.
I'm not standing up.
Oh, no, it's
Oh, no. You can sit
I
on
don't know
it.
what this is.
That's a sit board.
A sit board.
It's obvious now.
Well, climb up there and sit on it.
Perhaps I will at another time.
Oh, okay. So there's the gymnasium. Let's go. All right. Down the stairs we go. Now here, there are some basketball goals set up. Some hoops. You want to play some hoops?
Shoot some b-ball.
Yeah, if you want to see us playing b-ball, you can go back and look at, what was that? Where did we play some b-ball in?
Oh, man, we've been everywhere, man.
It's a movie Hoosiers, filming location,
There
of
we
course,
go.
in Indiana. Watch your step, caution. We are entering a prison cell, I believe. We don't know what we're entering, really. It's a self-guided tour, so we're guiding ourselves, and we're not doing the best job, apparently.
Wasn't it about $40 a piece for us to get in?
It was less than that. I think it was about 20-something.
Oh, it was like 40 altogether then.
I think so, yeah. Inmate restroom is no longer in use. This room says keep out. It is no longer in use. And this room says nothing. Can't get in there either. But there is a water fountain here. Let's see if that works. No. Big trouble if you're thirsty. Are you thirsty?
Well, you know what? As a matter of fact, I am. What are you going to do about it?
I don't know. I can't give you any water, that's for sure, so I guess
Oh,
we're in
man, is
trouble.
that a bird's nest? For real?
Ooh.
Oh, my goodness sakes. They're housing birds now, not inmates.
Most people want to get out of here, but not the birds. They like it.
It's nice and quiet for them.
Oh, here we go.
For
Come on in.
time. Oh, boy.
All right, watch this, guys. Bye.
Yeah, if you do that,
Oh, it's locked. I can't even close it on you.
for one, I'm going to get out. For two, you're going to have to sleep sometime.
I was going to lock Heather in here, but it didn't work.
Yes. Over my deceased carcass, you will.
Metal benches in here that are very rusty. Have a seat. Pop squat. Need a break. Yeah.
Having the time of my life, and I've never felt this way before.
All right. Let's
I
see if
never
we can.
thought I'd be in the federal pen today.
We're in the federal
Here we
pen.
are. You know what? These kind of areas right here makes me want to go inside them. Like this is crazy. I want to go up there.
Looks like what you'll find up there is a locked door.
Well, you want to watch me break through?
No, I certainly don't, because then I'll have to go get you out of the real pen. Well, this was a real pen, but I don't want to have to bail you out of an actual pen. All right, oh, here we go. Maximum security.
Ooh, man.
D block.
I wonder who was in there, James.
Built
Do
in
you think?
1857, D block was used as isolation cell quarters for the prison's most difficult and deadly criminals. Dubbed the New Hole, after the old hole built under the laundry was ostensibly shut down in the 1960s, D block maximum security residents had more restrictions than inmates living on death row in Nashville. Wow, that's crazy. Prisoners were stripped of all privileges and possessions except their uniforms and bedding, In reality, D block was not a hole, just a smaller version of blocks A and B, with 4 walks housing 8 single cells on each walk. The blocks had triple locks to prevent access to the other 3 walks. Despite the high security measures, D block remained a constant site of violence and bloodshed until the new high security annex building opened on the hill in 1989. This, for sure, is where Heather would have been if she would have been an inmate at this prison, because she's kind of wild and crazy. She would have had to be in D block. Let's see what we got here.
I could go up in there right now.
Would you like to read about Stoney Lane's stint as prison warden?
Oh, yeah. He was amazing, really good guy. And then there was some shackled for daily exercise and was soon holding a knife and gunners and mech and all that.
3 weeks into Stoney Lane's stint as prison warden, a maximum security prisoner took an officer hostage on the 2nd floor. The inmate jumped on Officer Gunter while being unshackled for daily exercise and was soon holding a knife to Gunter's neck. Another inmate was holding a 9mm gun, and they were demanding to speak with the new warden. While buying time negotiating with the prisoners, the warden's team plotted to free their colleague. 8 more inmates sawed out of their 2nd floor cell blocks, but by afternoon, the guards had stormed the walk with 12-gauge shotguns and 38 caliber pistols. 2 inmates were injured, but Officer Gunter walked away unharmed in the end. There was no 9mm gun, just a bar of soap in the shape of a gun covered in shoe polish.
I didn't even know that you could shape a bar of soap into a gun.
That's pretty crazy.
Perhaps they should sell soap that looks like a gun here.
Take a look at this. Maybe look at that fire extinguisher over there, just in case. Notice, no paranormal investigation, ghost hunting allowed during daytime tours. Violators will be required to leave the premises immediately. No ghost hunting, paranormal tours. What fun is that? There's a large U.S. mailbox. There's the commissary, of course. I'm sure everyone knows about commissary. That's how the prisoners pay for things while they're in prison. Let's take a walk through here.
Oh boy.
And away we go. Oh, here we go.
Finally.
Finally see some actual cells in cell block D. This looks like the shower, right?
Shower tile.
That must be the shower in here. It's where we begin. Take a look at this. Isn't it crazy?
Oh my goodness. It's like what you see in the movies. Look at that.
It's crazy.
Is that a toilet or is it an actual place to wash your hands?
Little hand wash at the top of the toilet. And then right over here.
Is the toilet at the bottom?
Right over here. There's some shelving. So they could store their stuff. They could hang some stuff on the walls. But just look at the size. It's so tiny. There's a little desk. A little thing here for the food to be put in. And then the bed. That's it. Isn't that crazy? I think I'd go crazy if I was in there, but I guess these people did go crazy.
Perhaps you were already crazy once you got in there. I love. Somebody loves somebody.
Oh, how
boy.
sweet is that?
The murderer was also a lover.
Wonder which one of these James Earl Ray stayed in. Must have been one of these because this was the high security area when he was here.
Is this stain?
You think it's blood stains on the floor? Could be. From fights and battles in days of old. They do say, like we read on the way in here, that there were a lot of violent battles in these halls. This guy was a big fan, and I look like this guy's son. That's what people keep telling me. This guy was a big fan of my father, Dale Sr. Look at that. Looks like it's been painted on there. Wonder who stayed in there. Obviously a very big NASCAR fan. Tool. That was number 16.
16?
Yeah. So this is 2 walk. Cells 9 through 16. So that's 7 cells that we just walked by. Plus, of course, the shower area. Look at this old fan.
You know, if I'm not mistaken, I would think that there's some lead paint up in here.
I'm sure there is. Here's one walk cells. What number is that? 1 through 8?
1 through 8. Don't be late.
Don't hate, appreciate. Ooh. All right.
Oh, that's a birdie crying.
Bird just flew and gave me a little scare. Probably we scared him too, though. Think about that. Hey, birdie.
Do you run this?
Where are you going? Oh, he's leaving us.
Oh, wow.
So this is similar to the other side. Looks like everything's about the same. Let's take a peek in here. Got a lot of peeling paint. Got the shelving. Just imagine. Probably, what do you think, 22, 23 hours a day in that? Man.
I guess it depends on how bad you are.
The window is missing.
Oh, there's a garden area.
Oh, let's check it out. Let's get out there and check this out. And here we have the washing room, the washroom again for this side, and a sink, very large sink. Oh, we can't go out this door. We'll have to go back out front to check out the garden area. So there we go, cell block D, where the bad ones stayed. D block was not really enough though, because they had a lot more people that were really bad here. 32 solitary cells weren't nearly enough to serve a prison full of first-degree murderers who were as violent on the inside as they had been on the outside. When this block maxed out, the most serious offenders were sent to a sectioned overflow space in B block. Life in solitary on B was similar to D, with one exception, a shared exercise cage. The entire prison went on lockdown as B block solitary population walked out to exercise. Considering these were essentially D block status inmates, heading out for a few sit-ups was a death wish. Once an inmate, spotting a guy lifting weights, pushed the bar onto the man's chest just as his friends shoved a shank into his side. Killers weren't the only convicts in solitary B. There were also protective custody inmates isolated for safety, dubbed as check-in. Some were forced into protective isolation if death threats were made against them. Others, like convicted pedophiles, were often requested it out of fear. They wanted to be away from the other population. In other words, either way, check-in wasn't something to brag about. There's a look at the outside of D block. There's a bench. All right, what are we checking out now? What's this?
Well, I'd like to tell you, however, I don't see any kind of labeling to let us know what in the world this is. So I'm going to tell you it's some kind of a greenery garden where you can come grow your food. Oh wait, did you know an electric chair dubbed Sparky was housed at Brushy's during renovations of the state prison in Nashville, but it was never used for executions on site.
Both the prisoner's hands and feet were shackled when being transferred from a cell to an exercise cage. Once inside the cage, inmates turned around to have their feet unshackled. Shank is when you stab somebody.
Oh, boy.
Shackled is what we're talking about here. They weren't being stabbed. Then their hands through the door hatches. All right, so stuck in solitary. Here's an explanation of this. D block was solitary confinement, no privileges, no interaction with others, except for the shift guard who brought 3 meals a day to eat in the cells. So maybe 24 hours a day in the cell? That's crazy if that's what they did. There was a good reason the men already serving time in max security prison were assigned administrative segregation. They were incredibly violent, dangerous, or they had already tried to escape. So obviously James Earl Ray would have been in that category. Prison staff reviewed D block prisoner profiles monthly to clear them for release back into the general pop. But 9 times out of 10, they were denied. Most spent months, if not years, locked in one of these 32 cells, 23 hours a day. There we go. 23 hours a day, 1 hour of exercise allowed in a solitary outdoor cage. Inmates could turn off the light bulb in their cell for some shut-eye, but the walk's overhead lighting stayed on 24/7. Whew. Heather would never sleep.
No.
And sleep was hard to come by. Lenient guards let prisoners hang bed sheets as barriers to help them rest, but mercy was rare in the hole. So these are more jail cells. I'm not sure what this is.
Do you think that's a workout room?
Could be. These are much larger cells that are now overgrown with plants, which made us first think that this was some kind of greenhouse or something, but obviously it's not. We're not sure what this is. It looks like could be some kind of exercise area. This had a lot of kudzus growing in it now. You can see here. Ah, yes, this is where he could have done some pull-ups right here. It looks like maybe a boxing punching bag would have been hung there. Look, you can do pull-ups over here.
Yeah.
You want to give it around?
I mean, well, I could, but what if that comes down and busts me in the face? What are you going to do about it?
It looks very sturdy. I pulled on it, and it is holding me just fine. Watch.
Do you have life insurance on me? Okay, fine, whatever.
All right,
but
let's
I
see.
can't tell you I can do this.
How many can you do? 20? Or just 5? Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay. You did one. Yeah.
That's way up high. All that. It's scary.
So obviously this was some sort of workout room. It would have been where D-Block people would have gotten that 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day.
Man, that didn't feel too sturdy.
1 hour a day of playtime would have been out here. And of course they would have had to be shackled and moved just from the block there, right on over here to the little play area. And these other play spots gotten filled in, but you see it's the same general idea in all of them. The little exercise area back there for pull-ups. Perhaps some kind of punching bag was hanging there. We're not sure. There's a peek back in, D cell. It's another one of the guard towers up on top of the wall. There's a better look at some of this barbed wire. Look how thick it gets over here in the corner. Be a little tricky to get through that unscathed. Huh. This must be General Pop cells over here. You want to take a walk up there?
All right.
All right. Let's see what's over here first.
I was going to say, you better watch it because those are rusty stairs.
Whoa, that bird's getting mad at us. Tired of us. Here we go. General Pop. Looks like 4 levels.
And these are the shared cells.
Yes, that's correct. They've got double bunks here. One
There's
at the
even
top,
like an office desk over here.
one at the bottom, and a
Or
desk.
perhaps that's where you could eat your food.
Eating area, desk, toilet, and the sink over there.
It says, what does that say over there? Can you read it?
I can't.
It says Taz. I see something like Taz.
Can't read it.
Taz. Rolo.
This is obviously. Imagine how loud this area would have been all day until lights out, I imagine.
And how hot it would have been.
Toilets flushing, people yelling,
Even coughing.
coughing.
Being sick.
Yeah. People clanging on these bars.
Let me out of here. That's what I would be saying.
Also in Shawshank Redemption movie, oh, here's the bathroom area. Excuse me, not bathroom. Shower area. You need a quick shower?
Oh, man.
Oh, you don't want one right now?
This is like a horror story for sure. I would not want to be here.
No.
Man, oh, man.
We are going the wrong way. It's very clear that we are progressing the incorrect way here. The arrow is pointing right at us.
Well, I guess we're a bunch of rebels. Going down,
Watch your step.
up, or down way.
Level 2.
The rear.
Let's read about the hostage shooting. That appears to be the aftermath of the hostage shooting on this level. This was on February 8th, 1982. 7 white inmates armed with a .25 caliber pistol, switchblade, and 6 shanks. Now, where did they get that pistol from? They sawed out of their cage-like cells Stealing keys from 4 guards they took hostage, the prisoners rushed to the segregated 3rd tier and fired on black inmates hiding behind mattresses. It left 2 black inmates dead and 2 others wounded. The white inmates eventually surrendered to the prison medic, the only official who attempted to stop the shooting. Later, investigators learned the pistol had been smuggled in. Well, there's the answer. Smuggled in. Suspicion swirled of collusion between white inmates and white guards, with one guard resigning after failing a polygraph regarding his involvement. 2 theories behind the shooting emerged. A white inmate's vendetta against black prison gang members of the political militant Halkabulan Society, charged with stabbing James Earl Ray behind bars, or a violent coup reflecting racial tensions within the prison over control of its internal drug trade, gambling, and prostitution rings. How are they running all this? One thing I've never, I guess, understood about prison is how do they run all these things in the prison? Isn't there a way to stop this stuff? Like if they really wanted to? What do you think?
Well, you know what? You think so, but sometimes they just had a hard time with trying to figure out how in the world to even solve a murder. They go trample all over everything. Back then they weren't too intelligent, I'm just saying.
Your answer is back then they weren't too intelligent.
Yeah, when I'm talking about the 30s and stuff, they couldn't really solve crimes and all that.
Oh, that's true.
It seems as though they had their hands full.
That's for sure.
Perhaps you could say they had their hands tied.
Now we have some paintings in this room. Question is, where did these paintings come from? Let us see if we can. Oh, look, raccoons. This is from Tim Cross, 1998. That's not an ugly duckling.
It's a beautiful duckling.
Raccoon. A couple raccoons. The same man serving life sentences for killing humans turned out to be animal lovers too. The strong attachments they made with the surrounding wildlife over the years were memorialized in wall paintings created by a few prisoners, doubling as undercover artists. Thinking it would boost morale and improve the cafeteria atmosphere, the warden allowed the men to come out, help out at night for dinner, after dinner. I'm trying to talk and I can't talk all of a sudden. The warden allowed the men to come help at night after dinner.
Woo!
They initially cleaned walls, then went on to draw sketches and eventually painted animal portraits and other picturesque scenes of the outside world. Say that word. Picturesque.
Picturesque.
Somebody help us, please.
Picturesque. Picturesque.
Picturesque. I cannot say the word right now. It
Picturesque.
doesn't matter. You know what the word is. Everybody watching knows the word.
Exactly.
I think.
You know what? It's really easy to get tongue-tied when we're trying to impress y'all.
Yeah.
We read amazingly on our own. Rest assured. All that fun stuff. Look at this. These are foxes.
They really did an amazing job. Some of this artwork.
Yeah, it is really amazing. Oh my goodness, we could be on a beach right now. In a hammock.
And here's the kitchen area where they would have prepared the food every day for the inmates. And here is the mess hall. The line. What do they call it? Is it the line they call it in a prison?
You know what? I've never stayed in one, so I'm not exactly sure. And I have
You don't have to stay in one to know the answer.
I know I'm harassing you. I'm harassing. I've never stayed in one, and I have not studied what the meth hall is.
The mess hall.
The mess hall.
So
Is
that-
it where you mess your pants and then you eat? I don't know.
That's the line. We got to hush Heather up now. And there's the kitchen area. This is where they would have gotten their 3 squares a day, every single day.
Something tells me it wasn't
cafeteria.
really feeling our filling.
I don't know what it was.
And it probably wasn't too tasty, and it,
Let's read a moment about James Slagle. 1970, a few years into, let me try to get this so that my shadow is not there. Oh, thank you. A few years into his 318-year sentence for kidnapping and murder, James Slagle was looking for a way out of the prison in a box. Since large containers never left Brushy, Slagle studied yoga for nearly a year and learned to masterfully contort his small body. With the help of kitchen co-workers, he squeezed into 2 18 by 9-inch boxes taped together labeled 153 pounds of roast beef, placed among food on a flatbed truck. Once on the highway, he used his shoulders to bust open the box and deftly tumbled off the truck to freedom. Unfortunately for Slagle, he'd been spotted by an off-duty prison guard out rabbit hunting and was soon back in Brushy, facing time in the hole. What a sad ending to a masterful plan. A sad, sad ending to such a masterfully planned escape for Mr. Slagle. Beyond hometown grub, the cafeteria served up plenty of murder and mayhem. There was the inmate who cut in line and soon felt the business end of a hammer hit his head. Another time, 2 kitchen inmates turned on a third as one used a meat cleaver to separate his spine. While the other sliced off his arm with a long knife. Thereafter, prison officials mandated all kitchen utensils be identified and outlined on a pegboard so that each tool was accounted for in case a prisoner was tempted to go on a killing spree or made the deadly mistake of cutting in line again.
Well, they're probably pretty hungry. You know, you don't get any snacks, and I'm a big snacker in between meals. And, you know, that's just what is this over
I don't think I would cut in line anyway if the risk was your torso would be sliced in half and
You
your
know
arm cut
how
off.
much I like to eat?
Well, you do like to a lot. Chow time. 3 times a day, every cell door opened on an entire block and the guards marched 200 inmates single file to the cafeteria. For a time, the surrounding 60-acre working farm, which included livestock, a butcher house, crop fields, and a dairy farm, provided all the food for the prison. Inmates not only cooked for fellow convicts, but also prison employees. Later, meals made in the main kitchen were also trucked downhill for minimum security and work release prisoners who lived in barracks outside the wall. It is so echoey in here. And there are also other people in here, and I'm echoing and talking very loudly, and they're probably very happy that we are exiting the mess hall now.
It's very echoey, but I don't think there's a lot of equity in this place.
Not a lot. Oh no.
Oh,
That's
good,
the end.
Nelly, get up there. What are you, scared?
All right. I think we've seen all of this one.
Oh boy.
Let's go downstairs.
There we go.
Arguably its most famous inmate, Martin Luther King Jr.'s convicted assassin, James Earl Ray, spent years locked up in Brushy, notably spending time inside cell number 28. After initially pleading guilty to the MLK Jr. shooting, he later recanted, claiming to be the patsy of a government conspiracy. Despite several escape attempts, one of which led to a massive FBI hunt, which we told about in 1977, earning him dreaded D-block isolation and years added to his sentence, he was reportedly an otherwise model prisoner. Once stabbed 22 times by 4 black inmates, he managed to survive. While suffering from liver disease in a Nashville correctional hospital, Ray promised Dr. King's son he was innocent. Shortly before he died in April of 1998, no evidence ever emerged to prove his claim. And cell number 28, where he spent a great bit of time, is right here behind us. Right here. 28. Not sure if he had roommates or whatnot, but this is the cell that James Earl Ray spent time in. Many monsters have occupied these cells behind us, including accused serial killers Bruce Mendenhall and Thomas Zooman Husky. Both very bad guys. We're not going to go into a lot about them right now, but you can certainly do some research on them. They lived here at one point as well.
There you have it. That concludes the McAndrew Travels tour of Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary.
What a crazy, crazy place. You know, doesn't it creep you out a little bit being in there?
Oh yeah.
It gave me the heebie-jeebies a little bit, just thinking about what life would have been like to be one of these guys in there. I mean, you see all these different weapons we showed you that they had to make and design out of various whatever object they could come up with because they felt like they had to have it to protect themselves. Now imagine being in there and worrying about your life, about your safety every single day. Then being stuck in these cells for so many hours a day in this place with all this beauty on the outside, with all the violence on the inside.
I bet it makes you wish you had not committed a crime in the first place.
That's right. And hopefully many of them, which I'm sure many of them did, come around. They found God in prison. They read their Bibles and all that. Not sure what percentage that would be, how many of them are legit. You hear about a lot of those kind of stories, but some certainly are. And that's a wonderful story.
It is.
Y'all be sure to hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you can come along with us on future adventures.
Come along.